The year was 1942. War was raging in Europe and the Pacific as the Allies were attempting to push back against the formidable strength of the Axis powers, and the going was tough. America had joined the war effort after the Japanese sneak attack on Pearl Harbor in December of 1941, and while they provided a much-needed boost, the Allies still had one hell of a long fight ahead of them. Bottom line, the Allied forces needed as many heroes as they could get, and fast. Little did they know that a rather unorthodox hero would soon be joining the fight. In Pleasantville, New York, a man named Edward Wren had a problem. A beloved member of his family had gotten himself into some serious trouble after a physical altercation and was facing harsh punishment as a result. In order to save his loved one from this terrible fate, Mr. Wren elected to sign them up for military service. So later that year, Mr. Wren shipped off his loved one to Front Royal, Virginia to begin his training at the War Dog Training Center. Oh, did I forget to mention that the family member in question was actually a dog? That's right, folks. The beloved member of Mr. Wren's family was actually an ornery German Shepherd Collie Husky mix named Chips, whose crime that landed him in hot water was biting the local garbage man. Now, since before the First World War, dogs have been deployed in combat for various purposes, such as acting as scouts, sentries, messengers, and trackers. So Chips was hardly the first of his kind, but he was definitely one of the most memorable. After completing his war dog training, Chips was assigned to the 3rd Infantry Division, and his appointed handler was one Private John P. Rowell. Chips, Private Rowell, and the 3rd Infantry successfully performed numerous tours of duty that took them all over North Africa. But his first real important mission was acting as a sentry during a conference between President Franklin Roosevelt and British Prime Minister Winston Churchill in 1943, which apparently went off without a hitch. But the mission that would make Chips into a proper legend of war would come later that year during the invasion of Sicily. The operation that, if pulled off, would give the Allies a perfect staging area to retake all of Italy, thus taking down one of the Axis powers and obtaining the perfect location to launch an invasion of mainland Europe. Chips and his unit arrived on the beaches of Sicily, and almost immediately they were pinned down by machine gun fire. Private Rowell and the rest of the unit could tell that the gunfire was coming from a pillbox somewhere further up the beach, but they had a difficult time pinpointing its exact location. With the near-constant barrage of gunfire coming from the pillbox, the 3rd Infantry had no way to safely advance and appeared to be doomed. Suddenly, Chips snapped his leash, and much to the horror of his handler, Private Rowell, he charged towards the gunfire and disappeared from view. For several tense moments, the unit believed that their loyal war dog had met his end. But then the gunfire stopped and the screaming began. Confused as to what was going on up ahead, Private Rowell and the rest of the unit carefully made their way to the pillbox. What the unit didn't know was that Chips had managed to dodge the hail of bullets and reached the pillbox unharmed. He then clamped his jaws on the still smoking barrel of the machine gun causing the trouble and tore it free from its mounting. With the machine gun disabled, Chips dove inside the pillbox and turned his wrath on the 4 German soldiers manning the pillbox. When Private Rowell and the rest of the unit arrived at the pillbox, they were just in time to see Chips snarling and dragging one of the Germans out of the emplacement by his throat. The remaining 3 quickly surrendered without a fight. Chips suffered a scalp injury and minor powder burns in his assault on the pillbox, but he was soon back in action and assisted his unit in capturing an additional 10 enemy soldiers that very same day. It may sound a bit indelicate, but this dog was one bona fide bad After his heroic actions in Sicily, Chips was given a field promotion to Private First Class, and along with Private Rowell and the rest of the 3rd Infantry, would go on to carry out numerous successful military operations in Italy, France, and Germany. The brave war dog would even get the chance to meet General and future President Dwight Eisenhower, who attempted to pet him and thank him for his service. True to his military training, Chips bit General Eisenhower because he didn't know who he was. Despite the little mishap with the general, Chips was awarded for his wartime service with a Distinguished Service Cross, a silver star, and a Purple Heart. But thanks to an Army policy forbidding animals from being granted military honors, these commendations were soon revoked. Chips was discharged from the Army in December of 1945, where his unit would unofficially award him with a theater ribbon with an arrowhead for an assault landing and battle stars for each one of his 8 campaigns. Soon after his discharge from the Army, Chips was sent home to his beloved family in Pleasantville, New York, where he settled in for a much-deserved rest. Sadly, he passed away 7 months later. Chips' story was soon buried in the pages of history, only to be dug up again in 1990 when the Walt Disney Company released a television movie called Chips the War Dog, which recounted his life story. Eventually, Chips was given the public recognition he was due in 2018 when he was posthumously awarded the PDSA Dickin Medal for his wartime service. In 2019, he would receive another posthumous commendation in the form of the Animals and War and Peace Medal of Bravery. Well, there you have it, an incredibly strange but true story of bravery in the face of impossible odds during one of the biggest military conflicts in the history of the world. Sure, it may seem a little silly to bestow hero status upon a dog, but hey, try telling that to the guys on the beach in Sicily whom he saved from certain death. Plus, this wasn't just an ordinary dog, he was also a trained combat soldier and a card-carrying member of the greatest generation. If you like this video, please show your support by dropping a comment below, hitting the like button, and sharing it with your friends. If you're curious about my future content and want to hear more extraordinary tales, then please subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell icon so you'll be notified whenever I upload something new. Until next time, have a lovely day, stay safe out there, and most importantly, look for the extraordinary!